Hey, everybody. Who woke up this morning and heard about inflation on the news?
You ain't got enough time up there, buddy. We can go all day.
You can go all day, exactly. So perfect. So anyway, so the people that report inflation, we feel have a conflict of interest because their scorecard is inflation. So it's like doing an exam and then testing and then putting your own criteria together as a result. Does this work as in the exam? Yeah, I don't know. And anyways, maybe I'll get my own computer. There you go. Anyway, so we've launching today Truflation.com. So you can actually go and check it out. But why did we do this? So we stepped back and we just sort of felt that, inflation today is being reported at 6.2%. That was in November, but it's back from October data. But we all know that our steaks are more expensive or smaller, the gas prices are up, everything's up. So something's not quite right. And so we broke down inflation. And we said, how do we take a different approach to this? The way the government does it is they take census data. So they go out, ask a bunch of people, they define who are those people that are going to tell them what the price is, and then they get that data, aggregate that data themselves, funnel that, process that data themselves, and then come up with a report themselves. So they do all of this on their own without any of us knowing how they go about doing it and how they pull together the census data. And so how can we change that and how can we hold them more accountable? And so the angle that we took was, why don't we take a developer model? We live in 2021 today. We're all on phones. We're all on computers that are driving a lot of data. We're using e-commerce. So what we then did was we broke down the CPI data, which is the Consumer Price Index, which is basically, and used that, which is basically what they interpret as being inflation. And then we looked at inflation, we looked at how they've been calculating and how they've changed that over the years. You see that if you take back 1980 data, the way they calculated in 1980, we would be having 15% inflation. If you use 1990 data, you'd have maybe 10% inflation. And so we then sort of took some of the models that they have and tried to recalculate that. We then took a developer approach and we said, why don't we go online and find this data real time? How can we go to Zillow to get rent data or purchase or property data? How can we go to Airbnb to find out what the rental data is, et cetera? So then we went round to a number of different sources, aggregated this data together, and I don't know if this button's gonna work, I'll try it. Anyway, yeah, I sort of went through that. Its official number is a bit low. We don't believe the numbers. I talked about that earlier. We're all seeing increases. Gas prices are higher. Products are more expensive or smaller on the plate that you get when you order them. And the official numbers somehow just don't add up. So when we broke this down, we couldn't sort of reconstruct how they got to their numbers. And so what we did was build and hold the government's accountable to how they're calculating inflation. And so we open sourced our calculation. It's all there on a white paper. Smart contracts are available live today that anybody can embed in their solutions. They're running on Chainlink today, and we'll be running on other Oracle services tomorrow. We might be on API 3 very soon, Kylin, and then possibly Band protocol as well. So how do we make this available so that anybody trying to build an inflation-proof stablecoin, a inflation-protected bond, can actually go to any of these Oracle services and draw down on the data to give them accurate information that might be more a reflection of reality than what we're hearing today. And so, yeah, that's pretty much the presentation. I'm 10 minutes in, so I just wanted to share that. We've launched it. Go to Truflation.com, check out our white paper. And it's really, I don't want to go into too much of the science of it, but we've had 3 data scientists really go into the detail of the breakdown. We've then gone to a number of different partners to aggregate real-time data so that we can actually provide you not only on a monthly basis, we can actually give it to you real time. So you get daily updates on inflation information. The cost for a product that's trying to do it on a monthly basis means you have to mint or burn your coins or your tokens or your fiat, whatever you're using, on a monthly basis is extremely expensive, whereas if you can break that down on a daily basis, it's much more cost effective, and thereby also you can also come up with interesting ways of distributing that to give people leverage some of the dopamine effects that users could receive on their mobile phone when they're playing a game. They could also get a quick drop-down notification, you just got some airdrops. Anyway, that's it. Please check it out, truflation.com, and I'll leave it at that unless there are any questions. Yeah.
Have you seen any like consistency in like the deviation between the Truflation numbers versus like the public CPI index numbers, like persistently under, over?
No, there's really, it was so hard for us. We just broke down the components that they had in there, and then we tried to look at the weighting, how they tried to weight it, and the weighting changed over time. And that's normal. You see that in any country around the world. And the reason why they do that is because the actual wealth of a population changes and the purchasing powers over time changes. But the funny thing is, if you look over the last 40 to 50 years, your purchasing patterns for communication and entertainment is always roughly between 9 to 10, 11, 12% of your household income. And so that never changes, but you have all of a sudden 5 phones. You know, you don't have one phone. But at the beginning, you only had one phone, and that cost you $100. And now you have 10 phones in the house, and that's $100 together. So unit costs have come down, but the volume of consumption has grown. Small things like that that we then identified and found out. Yeah.
I'll definitely, if you have time for a question, I'll definitely check out that website. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of forecasting model to see what direction it could be going, or is it kind of more?
Yeah, so we'd love people to work with us and figure out what we should be doing. But we've been thinking of forecasting, right? And I mean, if you look at the commodities pricing indexes, which are very popular already today in the fiat world, you could take that, and they do a lot of forecasting, and they build DeFi products around that. So you can build perps associated with that, right? So you can build future products, you can do prediction markets, et cetera. So it could be really interesting what you can build off the front of this going forward. And so ideally, this is a business to developer market. We want developers to adopt it, create it, enhance it, contribute towards it. This is our contribution to the open source community. And how do we get developers to build and enhance, augment, and build cool apps with it?